Right, today we're going to look at how we can use SketchUp to create a model of a chocolate box. Now, the first thing we need to think about today is scale. Now, you can see this is the meters template. Now, if we choose to ignore the scale, it means that when we apply the texture later, we'll have to do something to make it fit properly. Now, I'm going to attempt to get it done to scale. So I'm going to zoom right in, keep the person to make sure the scale is roughly correct, and then work from there. So first things first, we're going to zoom in. I'm going to pan slightly actually, and then zoom in so we can just about see the foot of our person and work. We're going to work in this area. First things first, I'm going to choose a rectangle and I'm going to draw this out. Now this example is going to be a fairly simple example, and I encourage you guys to look at some of the examples I'll show you in class to sort of experiment and be a bit more adventurous in this, but we're going to keep it simple. I'm going to pull up this face to make the basic box, and then we're going to do a little bit to at least try and make it a little bit interesting. I'm going to use the arc tool. I'm going to rotate a bit. I'm going to use the arc tool to give it a domed front. So I'm going to click here for the beginning and ends of the line, and then I'm going to pull up. Now the blue line is telling me I'm going in the up axis. I don't want to do green or red, so that's fine. I'm going to click to complete the shape, and then I'm going to pull the face of this outwards, and it should, if you do it carefully, there you go, it lines up perfectly. I am going to delete this line here because I don't want that line. I want this to be a whole shape. Now at the minute this is a fairly sort of square-ish with a dome box. Now to make it a little bit more interesting, I can use the move tool to grab this line and pull it outwards to give it a bit of a bulge. Now if I rotate around, you'll start to see what that's done. And that the only thing I've got to do, of course, is do the same to the other side. So I'm going to go to the move tool, grab this, and pull it outwards. So we've got a bit more of an interesting shape. It's not stunning, but it'll do as an example. Now we've got the shape of our chocolate box made. We need to apply texture. Now, I have already made a texture in Paint. I'm just going to drag it on and show you. So in Paint, I opened up Paint. I made a texture of some stars, whatever background you want. Just make it look interesting and colourful. And then I've saved this somewhere where I can find it in a moment. So I've already done that part of the work. So I'm going to minimise that. And what I'm going to do, we're going to apply a texture, but we need to make it. So when we were doing the doghouse example, you could choose all of these textures when it loads. There we go, all these different textures. We're going to make a texture. So if you can click up here with a plus. Now I'm going to call it chocolate. Yep. And then I'm going to use a texture image. If I tick this box, it's going to ask me to come and find the file. I know where mine is. It's called stars. I'm going to click open. Now, this is where these bits of information are important. This is showing you the size of this square. So this square is 0.01 meters by 0.08 meters. Now, if you're drawing your box very large in this template, you're going to have to play around with this. Probably make that 1 meter and that 1 meter. But in this example, we should be okay. So if I click OK and then hit it, excellent, because I've drawn it to scale. The texture works to scale. If I click and rotate round, the orbit tool, I can apply the texture, and we have a nice box with a nice texture. Now, as a finishing touch for this, it would be to add a bit of text, maybe, or a bit of 3D text. So I'm going to go to Tools, I'm going to go to 3D Text, and I'm going to call my chocolate Stars. You can change the font and the height, etc., but if you click Place, it's going to be slightly large on this example. So you're going to have to adjust the size. So if, in fact, we'll go back one, I'll push Escape. I'm going to go to Tools, I'm going to go 3D Text, and this time we're going to change the height to something a lot smaller. So it's going to be 0. and that should be better. It should work better. And that's a bit better. I still need to rearrange and change the size, but if I click and leave it, I can use this tool, which is a scale tool, to still shrink it down, just like how it does in Word. So there you go. So we've got some 3D text applied to my chocolate box. Hopefully you're going to come up with some things that are far more interesting than my simple example, but that's the basics.